And I got it secondhand from my son that Jimmy Hardy wanted me to come and do this. So I wasn't nervous till I got in here, and it looked so much like a courtroom. And I was like, wow, I've never been in court because I try not to get into any trouble or other folks' business. And that made me think of what we're doing here is all this serious business. Like a little boy was sitting on his front steps eating candy as fast as he could unwrap it and eat it. And this older fella come by and he said, son, you know that's not good for you. And besides that, it's going to ruin your dinner. He said, I don't know about that, but my granddaddy lived to be 102. The guy said, wow, from eating a lot of candy? He said, no, from minding his own business. So I didn't know I had 10 minutes tonight, but I won't take that much time. I had one thought when I first found I wanted to could do this, and I appreciate being able to do it, to share with you anytime. I've been saved since 1974, and I don't remember ever turning down an opportunity to speak for the Lord and for myself. And so the question I just have for you is one that I get all the time. That was why. I have folks in my churches, why are they doing what they're doing in Washington? Why is there so much hatred? Why this? And all I want to ask y'all tonight, of course, to think about why you do what you do. You're in a position of authority, and it's a respectable position of authority, and everything you do affects a lot of people every day. And so I want you to think about that, because the Bible says in 1 Corinthians 10:31, whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God. And it also says that every man's work will be made manifest. One day it'll be tried as by fire, and it'll reveal what we did and why we did it. And Romans says every one of us shall give account of himself to God. So as you're thinking of why you do what you do, why you want to be on the commission, I talked to someone not long ago about something they were thinking about doing, and they thought it would be better for them and for their church. And I said, well, why do you want to do that? And they had an answer, I guess, but I always try to think about that, why I do what I do. I'm not pastoring and preaching because I was coerced into it. I kind of felt like when I was ordained a deacon, I was talked into it at that time, but then when I was called to preach, my experience was different from a lot of other. Most pastors would say, if you can do anything else, do that. If you can do anything else, and be happy. And for 2 or 3 years, I kept getting all that, like they would say, I finally surrendered. I finally gave in. And what was in my heart the whole time was I wanted to. I wanted to preach the word all that time. And finally, an older evangelist, Clayton Shaw, said, son, if you got that want to in you, who do you think put it there? The devil don't want you preaching the word. So I said, okay, I believe I will. But that's all I wanted to put in your heart tonight, in your mind, to think about every time you meet, every time you make a decision that affects so many folks. Why do you do what you do? Okay, let's pray. Father, we thank you, God, tonight for your great mercy and grace upon us. Lord, we're allowed to live and be here and be healthy and breathe and go on because of your mercy and grace. And Lord, I thank you for these men who have accepted this authority, Lord, and the responsibility that goes with it. And I pray that you bless them in everything they do in this office and in their daily lives. Lord, that you make this job a blessing to them. Lord, give them wisdom, understanding, patience, love, all the gifts that only you can give, Lord, to be able to do the best they can do in what they're doing. And I ask you to bless them now tonight in this meeting and all the days ahead, Father, that your will will be done in all our lives. And I ask these blessings in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Thank you. Steve, would you go ahead and lead us in the pledge, please?
Attention, salute, and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So guys, our meeting officially starts at 6 o'clock, so we're going to have a few minutes here to make sure that everybody that plans to attend will have an opportunity to get here before we start. But just for your own knowledge, we have a lot of items on the agenda tonight, and if you want to address whatever your item is or whatever your concern, and when that's over, while we're moving to the next item on the agenda, feel free to leave. We encourage you to stay, but it's not required, and we won't think ill of you if you leave after you address whatever your issue is on the agenda. So we have about 4 minutes. So fellowship with each other, and at 6 o'clock we'll convene.
Can I address something before y'all get started?
Sure.
I just want to tell y'all thank you for the doors that were installed and up the stairs. As a matter of security, particularly with my corporation, keeping on, was very, very convenient. Y'all went above and beyond and we're have to keep the stairs to have.
Thanks for saying that, Chris.
They're pretty nice too.
They're very nice.
Pretty nice. Yes. Thank you. Elephant in the room. Elephant in the room. I'll get the preacher back over here to tell some jokes.
We're usually pressed for time, and tonight we finished early, so.
See my
If you what? We need to do a work session. You need to request one, and we need to complete all of these issues, and
that's a lot of money.
she's in a bad mood.
I don't care. She can get in a good mood. Watch, not you.
Oh, do you? Sometimes. Good to see you. Tonight, one of the nights. You never know what's coming out. This pops up, pops out a little bit.
I've got a list.
They are.
All right, guys, it's 6 o'clock. I want to call the February 12th, 2019 regularly scheduled Chilton County Commission meeting to order. Appreciate you guys having patience with us. We finished our work session early tonight, which is very unusual. As you know, Jimmy and I like to talk a lot, so it usually takes a long time. So we've had our we've had our prayer and our pledge, and we're ready to dive in. You have the agenda in front of you. We have some additions and deletions to the agenda, so I would like to read those, and Ms. Sylvia, if you will, confirm that I have all of those. And after we've read the additions and deletions, then we'll vote to accept the agenda with these deletions and additions. So first of all, we would like to add under me a change of our next meeting time to 7 o'clock. And I would also like to request a work session for 6 o'clock, and that would be on February 26th. A work session at 6 o'clock and our regularly scheduled meeting to be bumped back 1 hour to 7 o'clock. And we'll get into that further later in the meeting, I guess. We're going to have an event at 5:30, and it'll require us to push our meeting back. Then for removals, I want to remove from the agenda the discussion of the term sheet with the city of Clanton. We have a few corrections to that term sheet before we're ready to move on it. I would also like to remove a request from Tim Little for an executive session. Jimmy has requested that we remove the courthouse closing and the revenue report, or the report from the revenue roundtable. Did I cover everything?
Your addition under 9 for policies and procedures,
Okay, addition to discuss policy and procedure manual.
and then another deletion under John Sharon's, the request for funds.
Okay. Everyone hear those, and has everyone had time to read the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as is with the deletions and additions?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have two sets of meeting minutes tonight that will need approval. First, I would like to ask for an approval of the meetings for the January 22nd meeting.
I propose a resolution for the regular meeting minutes dated January 22nd.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes of January 22nd. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we also need an approval of the minutes of February 6th special call meeting.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes for the special call meeting on February 6, 2019.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, guys, we need to get an approval of the claims. They were handed out, emailed out to you earlier. Have you had an opportunity to review those claims?
I make a motion, we pay the bills, dating February the 12th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay the bills for February 12th, 2019. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're at the public comment section. Do we have any public comments? Okay. Billy Singleton. Is Billy here? Would you come forward, please?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good evening. I'll be brief. I come to you each year for the same purpose, but I want to give you a little food for thought before I do that. It'll take just a couple of minutes. I've often come before you and indicated to you one of our goals at the Chilton County Airport is to become self-sustaining financially. And I went back into our audited results for 2016 and 17 and pulled some numbers, and just want you to know that on average over that 2-year period, it cost us $129,000 a year to operate that airport. Based on the funding we received from the county, the Chilton County Airport Authority is currently generating 62% of that amount that we're not asking you for. And the county's supporting 38% of the operation of that airport. During that same period, we upgraded the fuel system at over $30,000, which we generated those funds, and we did a lot of other infrastructure improvements to the airport. So I hope you'll agree that we are moving in that direction. We're almost at 2/3 that we're supporting the operating cost of that airport, and I'll say that's at no cost to the taxpayers. And so we'll continue to strive in that direction. But to put this in perspective, the funding of the airport, if we piled the entire budget of Chilton County on a table and pulled $1 bill out of that pile, took it over to the bank, changed that for 100 pennies, and then pulled a penny out of that pile and halved it, that's our funding of the budget. And so I think when we tell you that we're injecting almost $400,000 a year back into the county through B&G Flying Service and the airport, I think that's a huge return on that 1/2 cent investment. We issued for the first time this year 4 1099 forms for people who are providing service for us out there. And so I think we'll continue to see good things as we move forward. The first resolution that I'm requesting tonight, I come to you every year. It's to allow the chairman to sign and assist us in executing the grant documents for the airport improvement program. I tell you every year we're often only have a 72-hour term to get those done. They probably will not be here until May, June, July timeframe. But when we do receive them, we're not working with very minimal amount of time. So I would ask, first of all, that you consider that resolution for passage.
So we have a request or a resolution?
I'll make a resolution that we honor his request to sign the grant, the 2019 Federal Aviation Grant.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Second resolution is for this year, we're anticipating $1.3 million in grants. There'll be an additional $600,000 added to that to repay and fund some of the things that we did this year. To allow us to move forward in the most efficient manner and to allow us to acquire the properties that we have selected, the FAA is giving us the opportunity to engage the county to do demolition on the structures that we purchased in 2018. Now, the vast majority of those expenses are reimbursable, but I want to make it clear, I've talked to the county engineer and Matt, we sat together and looked at these very closely. Not all the structures will be equal in cost, some more, some less, but we have come up with an amount to be reimbursed to the county that we are very, very comfortable with. It will cover all eventualities. I want to further say that it will not be road crews or bush hog crews doing this. It will be the construction crews. They're under no time frame limit to get this done, only when their workload allows. And we've allocated 2 days to get it done, which we all think will be more than enough time. They are not required to do them all at once, just as workload permits. That will allow us to do some additional things we would not be able to do financially otherwise and move the airport forward more expeditiously.
Do we have a motion to accept this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Billy, you said that was property already acquired
Yeah, we acquired it
previously.
in 2018. We own it now.
Is that on that side of 145?
5 of the parcels on the east side, 2 on the west.
Okay.
And so I had asked about this, and Tony said that they have rainy days when they're not able to do construction, and he can enable these crews to do this demolition on rainy days, so it won't actually prevent us from doing other day-to-day county business. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I have one other resolution that's not related to the airport, and if this is the appropriate time
It
to
is.
present it.
Great.
A little over a year ago, this commission appointed me your representative to the Chilton County 150th Celebration Committee. We're in the process of winding that committee down, and we have some grant funds remaining. What we would like to do as a a legacy of that effort is to purchase a historic marker for Chilton County. And as I mentioned, we have the money to do that. I'm not asking you for any type of funding. But before we do it, I just would like your concurrence that we proceed. And eventually, when the marker comes, to place that on county property where it's most appropriate. We'll resolve that later. But we just didn't want to order the marker if you foresaw a problem in doing so.
So you think you need a resolution enabling?
I
you
would
to do-
just be comfortable with a resolution that we all agree moving forward that this is something you want to do.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Billy, before you go, will you kind of update on the jet fuel? We've had, you'd mentioned it.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and I don't want to take up much time, but we've had 4 business aircraft in the last 2 weeks, each of which purchased approximately 300 gallons of fuel. That has become our largest revenue source. And as we move to extend the runway, we expect that to triple, if not quadruple, and it'll further allow us to finance our own operations out there. We're really, really excited about that prospect.
Awesome. Thanks for
Good
that
deal.
word. Okay, next on the agenda is the United Way.
I'll lower this so you can hear me. My name is Mary Mel Smith, and I'm chairperson of the United Way. And Carol Fortuna, who is our campaign coordinator, we are here tonight, for one thing, to thank you for your support of the United Way. We are having an appreciation lunch, and each one of you have an invitation to this, which will be February the 26th at the Alabama Power Company building. And due to your support of us, we want to personally thank you because you've allowed us to go into the different departments and ask for money, and people have been very generous to us. We have reached our goal for 2018, which is wonderful, but we got to push on that and keep thinking about 2019. But it will be at the Power Company, 11:30 to 1 on February the 26th. We would love for everybody to come that could. I don't think that man on the end looks like Tony Waring, but but you're welcome to. But again, thank you very, very much for your support. And if it were not for you, we would not have reached this goal. And all of our, about 75% of our monies that we give out into the county is children related. And that is what we want to try to support and make their lives even better. So thank you again.
So, Ms. Mary Mel, you need us to RSVP by February 19th if we're coming so you can plan food?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you
Please.
so much for what you guys do for this community. We really appreciate it.
Well, we're just trying to, our goals used to be $250,000, but I don't know, they've just dwindled down. There's other good organizations that we give to, that people give to.
Right.
And so by reaching $175,000, we were able to give the schools, the county schools, each teacher more money this past year due to the fact that we were able to reach the goal.
That's awesome.
So with your help, that's what we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'll move on to department reports. For the county engineer, Matt's filling in tonight. So Matt, it's your turn to take the floor.
Request a line item transfer in gasoline for $19,000 from 111-53-100, 550 motor vehicles, 511-53100, 234 repair and maintenance motor vehicles.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, presenting a preliminary plat of Fort Pine subdivision. This is a trailer park with 3 lots located off County Road 95. It's being developed by Timothy Logan.
I hear a motion to accept the preliminary plat.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Motion, he opposed.
He opposed, but motion carries.
All right,
You got that, Sylvia? Thanks.
presenting a preliminary plat of Blackberry Hill subdivision. This is a trailer park of 3 lots.
I wasn't opposed to the last one. I thought that was a trailer park thing that you done.
It was.
It was a trailer park as
It's
well.
this is a different one.
There's 2 of them. This is trailer park of 3 lots located off County Road 213. It is being developed by Jackie Logan.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? So we're running under the assumption that these are all in accordance with the county standards as stated?
They are in accordance to.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
This is just a starting point protocol, is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I thought.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let the record show that Mr. Headley opposes. Motion carries.
All right. And I request permission to have Tony Pearson, the truck driver, added to payroll. That's a rate shown.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I request permission to have Travis Muller, truck driver, added to payrolls, rate shown in attachment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Request permission to have Fred Simmons, truck driver, added to payroll as shown in attachment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Request permission to have Alex Davison, mechanic, his co-op, added to payrolls, rate shown in attachment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Request permission to transfer CP6, a 2006 F-250 service truck, to the courthouse maintenance crew.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Oh, sorry. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Recommending approval of the final plat of Harbor Point, the Lake Mitchell subdivision. This is a single-family development of 3 lots located off County Road 264. Is being developed by Andrew George. Clinton,
So
Alabama.
moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Request permission to perform the housework at the airport with the 7 structures brought up by Billy Singleton.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none.
Did you say that the county's gonna be reimbursed for?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Sylvia, would that be added to the minutes, please? The county's gonna be reimbursed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. You good?
I'm just gonna say that being paid back was in that resolution that Billy presented.
Mm-hmm. It was in the minutes.
Okay. Jason Calhoun?
Pay attention.
I'll be quick. Thank y'all for allowing me to be on the agenda. Can y'all hear me? Anyway, I want to thank the commission for updating the flooring in the judge's chambers and the probate office. That flooring is not very big. It has needed some update for quite some time. It's less than a third of this floor right here, and it looks really good, and so we're very thankful for that. I know you guys are always faced with issues and problems and concerns within the county, but I'm not here for that today. I want to brag on some people tonight. I want to brag on our county administrator and her staff. I want to brag on Mr. Waring, Mr. Pete and his crew for the job that they've done on that flooring. They have been very helpful and very resourceful to me in my first month of office, and I'm very thankful for that. Mr. Brock, who is in charge of our IT in the courthouse, he's also been very resourceful and very helpful, and so I appreciate that. The probate office is working on some short-term and some long-term goals. I don't have those ready yet to submit. I would like to do that at some point at another meeting in the future, just to so you'll have it. It holds me accountable, and it also allows me to be transparent with our department. And so that's really about it. I appreciate everything that y'all have done so far.
Thank you, Judge
Okay.
Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Calhoun.
Got to get used to saying Judge Calhoun.
I'm not. He's still Jason.
All right, Tim does not have anything since we had the removal of the executive session. Derek doesn't have anything tonight, so John, you're up. So John, you were late coming in, so what we would ask is for your request tonight to be request a resolution for, so that we don't have to reread everything that you ask us for to enter it into the meeting.
All right. Start off tonight, I'd like to, we have surplus vehicles. I'd like to request a resolution to surplus the below vehicles, 2016 Ford Explorer. I need to read the VINs and everything.
No, just describe the vehicle.
1988 Chevrolet truck, maintenance truck, and a 2007 Toyota Camry.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Like a resolution tonight on